Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Pokemon fans of the world, it is the one and only Mega Crasher, and it is go time. Now, with a video like this, I want to present you guys with a little bit more of a serious discussion-based video. Yes, I know that I just posted a video not too long ago on the channel, so if you guys have missed that video, then the link's in the description box down below, and the card is right above my head to click on if you guys are interested. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get on with this video here. So, as you guys know, today's been a whirlwind of events and releases. I mean, to start things off, we have the legendary Golem Regice now making its rounds as the new legendary raid boss, and now also, ladies and gentlemen, we have the new trading and friend system in effect as of today. And I gotta say, right off the bat, today's shaping up to be one hell of a day for us Pokemon Go maniacs. But see, here's the thing, is that I'm going to be talking about what I like and what I feel like we can improve upon when it comes to the system in its entirety. So I'm going to go over what I like about the system first. So it should kind of go without saying, ladies and gentlemen, I love the whole system. I love the concept of the system, you know, the trading, the making new friends, and exchanging gifts. Like, I think the exchanging gifts bit is very, very nice. It's a very, very, very nice touch. And the thing is that you get some pretty rare, hard to come by items out of those gifts, such as Ultra Balls, such as Pineapple Berries, such as Max Potions, Max Revives, and not to mention the new inclusion of 7K eggs, which in translation are Alolan eggs, because they hatch Alolan Pokemon. And I gotta say, I'm actually very, very jealous, because in my area, we already have someone that hatched 100 IV Alolan Grimer, and in translation, it is now an Alolan Muck. And I gotta say that aside from Alolan Executor and Alolan Ninetales, I love Alolan Muck because of the fact that not only is it really good as a type, but also it's just such a badass typing in general, and a badass look too, and not to mention, it's going to be a very, very competitively viable Pokemon in Pokemon Go, if I'm not mistaken, because it already is really good as is in the main series game, so there's no reason why it can't be good in Pokemon Go as well. But with all that though, I also gotta say that the trading system, it has been something I've been waiting almost 2 years for, you know? And I gotta say that upon the announcement of trading, I got very, very excited. But see, this is kind of where the hype starts to dwindle down a little bit, because now I'm going to talk about what I dislike / what I think we can improve upon when it comes to the system as a whole. Now, I want the record to show that this is in no way, shape, and form meant to throw shade or be a negative video, as this is just strictly my opinion and my opinion only. So if you guys have your own opinions, then please post them in the comment section down below, and let's have ourselves a really solid, chill discussion, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what I'm all about, you know? Yeah, I get that we have different opinions, and, you know, opinions can be pretty tense sometimes, especially in the discussion of Pokemon Go when it comes to certain things and all that stuff. But here's the thing, is that there's no reason why we can't be, you know, why we can't say our arguments, but do so in a very chill and respectful way. So anyways, guys, this is more or less going to be a proposal as well when it comes to how we can make the trading system a little less unfair for a lot of us players, and how it can be more beneficial for everyone in general, as well as still be a deterrent for black marketers. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to direct your attention to a post I made on the Sylph Road Reddit page, and it's titled A Proposal, a fairness-based trading system, as I had kind of alluded to previously. Now, I have actually quite a detailed post right here, so hopefully it won't take too long. I do apologize in advance if this is going to be a bit of a longer video, but let's waste no more time and let's get into this. The restrictions put in place for the current trading system, while deterrent to black marketers and multi-accounters, punishes legit players by not allowing us to trade our prized, high IVs, or even perfect Pokemon with friends. Now, an example of that would be the fact that I have a 100 IV Ho-Oh, as you're seeing right here on the screen, that I spent all my resources on my main account, and I have been meaning since the day I got it to trade this with my brother, Jason, who is absolutely head over heels for Ho-Oh. It's his spirit Pokemon, and in exchange, he's actually willing to give me one of his 100 IV Rayquazas, and the thing is that I absolutely love Rayquaza because it is a legendary of my favorite region known as the Hoenn region, but because of the system that already is in place, that is going to seriously jeopardize our 100 IV Pokemon and change their IVs because of the current system that is here and now in the trading system. Now I continue on. I believe there is a solution for allowing legit players to trade Pokemon and possibly retain their IVs while still deterring bad actors. Do note that there may be some flaws to the system, and that is the point of the discussion, to iron out the flaws and refine the idea. So basically, you know, as I mentioned, this is a very, very, very fresh and new idea, and obviously there's still a lot of kinks to iron out, so it's very, very early in the stages of development for this system, so I almost 100% anticipate that there will be changes regardless to this system, hopefully in the not too distant future. Now, the proposed idea is easy to implement from a programmer's perspective, and no changes to the UI is required. It can still work with the current limitations imposed based on friendship levels and Stardust costs. Now, the thing is that, you know, the friendship levels, that is something to take into consideration because you have to have a really good friendship in-game with that trainer in order for you to trade a high IV Pokemon and for it to retain everything about it and more. Not to mention the Stardust cost too, because last I checked, I think it takes like, what, 1 million Stardust to be able to trade a legendary Pokemon? I mean, that as well as the fact that you gotta seriously grind on your friendship levels should be an automatic deterrent for any black marketers or any of those bad actors in Pokemon Go. So here's the thing, is that what I have down here is a total of 6 tiers. Now, the tier number 1 is legendary Pokemon, so that in and of itself is its own tier. So it should be trade a legendary for a legendary Pokemon, not trade a legendary Pokemon for like a Pidgey or a Weedle or something like that, because that would be way, way too easy for black marketers and multi-accounters to be able to manipulate and take advantage of. Tier number 2, max CP at level 40 is greater to or equals 3200. So we're talking the creme de la creme. We're talking maxed out Dragonites. We're talking maxed out Metagross, Tyranitar, etc. Tier number 3, max CP at level 40 is greater to or equals 2500. Tier number 4 is going to equal 2000. Tier number 5 equal to 1500. And tier 6 would be all others. So all of these tiers are going to have their own restrictions and their own limitations, of course, the higher the tier you go. And I even mentioned right here, a trade is deemed to be fair if both Pokemon belong to the same tier. So as I reiterate here, you can't have a tier 1 and tier 6 trade. So basically what I'm trying to say is you can't trade, you know, a Mewtwo for a Caterpie because they're in completely different tiers and it just wouldn't work out anyways. Not to mention, like I said, it would be a great way to cheat the system and to also overflow accounts to be able to sell on the black market. Now, if a trade is unfair, each IV value of both Pokemon will be randomized to a value lower and equal to a current IV value. So, in translation, if you have a Pokemon that is, say, a 60 IV versus a Pokemon that is 100 IV, basically the 100 IV is going to be rounded down, whereas the 60 IV is going to be rounded up, so it's going to be around the same sort of range. And on the other side of the spectrum, if a trade is fair, the IV values of both Pokemon will be randomized to a value and inclusive of the corresponding values between the two Pokemon. Here are the implications of such a system. The black market for 100 IV legendary Pokemon would be heavily deterred unless the buyer is willing to sacrifice a 100 IV legendary Pokemon in return. And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that those 100 IV Pokemon are so hard to come by, especially when they are in such a limited supply and you can only get them for a limited time in raids in general. And I believe it's like 1 out of like 200 plus chance to be able to roll 100 IVs, and it's another thing to actually catch the damn thing, you know? I know so many horror stories of people who have lost 100 IV Pokemon, and believe me, it is not fun in the slightest. Now, Friends can trade their prized 100 IV Pokemon fairly as long as they belong to the same tier. So say, for example, you have a tier 2 trade of 2 100 IV Pokemon. Say you have a 100 IV Dragonite and you want to trade it for a 100 IV Metagross. The IVs aren't going to change because they're going to be in the same tier. Now, it would be extremely difficult for multi-buy counters to collate their high IV Pokemon into one account. And see, this is where it kind of spirals into black marketing potentially because, like I said, you could overload a single account with a whole bunch of 100 IV Pokemon and sell that for thousands of dollars potentially. And believe it or not, there are hardcore diehard players out there that are willing to spend that much money to have an account of that caliber. So on to the last 2 points. It is possible to raise the IVs of a low IV Pokemon by sacrificing that of a higher IV Pokemon within the same tier, and it would be impossible to raise the IVs of a Pokemon with unfair trades. So in translation, you have 2 Pokemon of the same tier that you could change their IVs for the better, and also in the last point, it would be impossible to raise the IVs of said Pokemon with unfair trades. So in other words, what would be deemed unfair is if the trade was to take place in 2 different tiers. Now, with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that this post makes sense. I just posted this not too long ago, so I'll leave a link in the description box down below to this post, so that way you guys have a look at it for yourself, and do feel free to comment down below as to what your opinions are about this as well. If I'm going to be completely honest, I think this would be the most fairest of all ideas, but I am always open to discussion and always open to improvement of ideas, as this is simply a, just a raw post, and there definitely can be things ironed out and worked on that can make this idea even better, as well as the whole system in general. Well, that's a little bit strange. I went to log out because I realized I was still logged in after shortly posting this post, and it's already been removed. That's a bit strange. I don't think my post violated any rules. I mean, I could be wrong. I am fairly new to Reddit, but anyways, this post is going to be shown in the video anyways, so you guys will be able to see the idea for yourself, and I'll also post it in the comments as well so that you guys can have a much easier time reading it there too.